You see, guys, this is the tragedy of being brought back as Disneyland for Schadenfreude Jr., for instance. Not only Schadenfreude Jr., you see, when they say masks in the CIA or in any intelligence, there's different masks. Sometimes it's, a face that's changed. Sometimes it's actually maquillage. Sometimes it's, like warts or things like that. In my particular case, it's a smashed in head on the coastlines and Disneyland, particular graft, genetic. The problem with you is that you don't understand that if something like that happens in your own country, it doesn't matter, because it's just intel, right? We don't care for the corporations. We don't care for July 20th, 21st century. We don't give a shit. That's all news on the news. It's gone with the wind. It's not my fault that there was a ship to yacht. It's not my fault that the bridges around the capital cities worldwide to globals have short bridges. I didn't come back for you. You see, it's not a question of just the losses. It's not just a question of corporates or power games of corporates. It's not just a question of losses within the US of physical buildings that are not financial banks, but science banks. Literally. Because if you smash somebody's head on the coastlines, technically from any point of view, any perspective, any intel, any religion, that intel's dead. So they say limits to growth. This is such an old news that I don't like rehashing it. But the reason they brought me back as Disneyland would have been for what? Think about it, just split second. As much as I think it's a very bad idea, think about it. So that's old news on the news. That's the old news on the news, the flushed toilet going down, the bell, the whole shit, the ship to yacht, the mermaid. Okay. So why bring me back? Scotland film, Radio Globo, she's not herself. You have intelligence that does once, many times over, 92 and above for the parents, and she's on the coastlines elsewhere with the corporates and others. And then she has her head, eventually after 92 and above, the flyings, and 85, the runnings on the hills, and then the smashed in head on the coastlines, and you have me, grabbed crabby, after the smashed in head on the coastlines. Let's think, for a split second, why I would have come back as a particular corn cob. You could see coming from China, you know who those guys are with that girl on the flyings and the runnings. It's not that you can deny it as much as you want on the coastlines. You can deny it in Fresno. You can lie about the Barons of Fresno. You can lie who was with that girl in sciences. You can deny that. You did. You can do anything you want. It doesn't matter because anyway, this girl is not that girl, right? That's Schadenfreude Jr. That is the definition of Schadenfreude Jr. And for the parents, we have Schadenfreude Jr. too, because they don't like the parents. You have never understood what this is for the intel communities within the US. Soil. Shit assholes. So if you can see it coming from China, you have the intel, correct? You have the intel. You have the, that's nice. Come on, that's not nice. And this is the tragedy of the intel communities, to keep showing it, even through Disneyland. And it's literally a tragedy that you covered because you didn't want to listen to Disneyland, because you're like, what the fuck, I don't want to listen to Disneyland. After they smashed the girl's head on the coastline, so I bring her back as Disneyland. I agree with you. I'm not even arguing this shit. I'm not. I'm just saying that there is something behind that girl. There's intelligence behind that girl. Even if they smashed That girl's head in. Her brain, her teeth were smashed on the coastlines. You're terrorists. Motherfucker, you're terrorists on your own soil. And you're still denying it with this replacement child. I have never seen such assholes and bitches. And now you even have cheerleaders. Do you know what's empty on the coastlines? Can you reopen any of those buildings of that girl, Grays and Blacks? I don't care for pink cancer. Grays and Blacks will take out pink anytime. You want to make it color-coded. It ain't no fucking color code. This is as brown as it gets. At least for me. And for the parents. And for us, not the daughters. Now, when I kept saying there's a difference between Intel. Some do science, some are D1s and humanitarian relief service, all Strode. Later on became TCOR a few years before he retired. Catholic Relief Services, USA, UN, stuff like that. IFAD. D1s. The positions were D1s. That's not a Director General, that's a D1. And they want them to stay D1s. The Director General bar in London, during the bachelor's and the master's, the DJ, basically it was the DJ bar, that during the bachelor's and the first master's, turned to DG, then back to DJ, was showing that the work as a D1 is basically like a DG. Okay. And they want them in those positions. They want them as D1s. They want them from D2 to D1. And that's what happened in this life, in stupid times. And those 3 high schools in stupid times. That's what happened. In the UN and stupid times and 3 high schools. For these 2 high schools that were live, for me, the 3rd high school, I'm already a replacement child with a smashed in head on the coastlines. Relic. You're terrorists in the US soil. You will not reopen the corporate shit on the coastlines unless you can bring back to life that girl. You can't. You can bring back Ubers, but that's still not. If you check the 1950s from Germany, like read Nietzsche, read anything. Can an Ubermensch ever be the original? No. No. They make Ubermensch when the intelligence is still alive. They don't make Ubermensch after a smashed in head on the coastlines. And if the original Intel already had her head smashed on the coastlines, you usually don't rehash shit, ne pink, ne blues, because those are basically shadow children. They don't exist. Meaning they're taken. These are the basics of intelligence for the children that break space. July 20, 21st century, that you denied on your coastlines till today. And I only have 47 to 21 of 2 slots of a social security number after you smashed my head in on the coastlines to say to you that there's Scotland Film, there's Radio Global, and could you please bomb Fresno for the parents? Sorry, politically correct, spacebar. So what happened with the sciences is a tragedy for those scientists who were in Russia, who were in Saudi Arabia, who were in Germany and England and Rome and Italy and in the UN. They will not admit that the death on the coastlines of those scientists, or of me, one of their leaders with a head smashed in, July 20, 21st century, those empty buildings of mathematics at La Sapienza, Space Tech and so forth. They didn't even have cancer there. Not at La Sapienza. Only in Poland and New York and Egypt. But the mathematics and the sciences are in Russia and Saudi Arabia. And La Sapienza. Knowledge. Those are the empty ones of Tiziano Villani. You're dead, darling. No. Well, that's the literature division. Look at the white hairs are getting at you. At the age of 5. I don't have pretenses. I'm not that girl. Fucking whores, bitches. Will you leave me alone, you fucking retards? With your psychos. With 250 pages of Dr. Parrots. For your psycho stalkers. After some time, after you smashed the girl's head in on the coastline, she became crap. Probably some people even believed she was crap. It was the original. And now, okay, you want to have that? They get rid of the psycho stalkers. Why? Because they're looking at the coastlines for the sciences. They're looking, and you're not related to those guys. You're simply federal prisoners who, from San Quentin or where, you know, like the cheerleading pack, the Schadenfreude Jr., who gained with the losses of the death on the coastlines? Who gained in science and technology with those corporations? The US? No. It happened in the US, therefore on your land, it's empty void. Not financial banks, science banks. So when you sit there and you come back to a rehash of Intel, Delph 221 and Stupid Times, and you're still denying it because you believe there's no record breaks out there in space tech. There's no grays and blacks corporations and there's no pink ass corporations that are worth mentioning. I agree with you. Not in the US. In China, yes. In Russia, yes. In German airspace, yes. In Saudi Mir, yes. Duh. In the UN, yes. Fuck, we even have those geniuses in Woolwich for Stupid Times in the basements with this bitch, right? Because I'm a bitch for you. After you smash my head on the ghost, I know you're whore. Kill ya. Disneyland, cheerleading squad. You don't have to like me. You can even hate me. But don't come near me. It's not them. Look at who it's doing. If you look at the police force here, for instance, who are they protecting? They're not protecting that shell on the coastlines that was attacked. They're not protecting themselves. They're not protecting anything. They don't give a shit. If there's void on their coastlines, you think local cops or local bobbies are going to do shit? Look at them in California. They're not FBI. They're not Scotland Yard for the nails. They're not even freaking Interpol. They're none of the special polices. The cops. Tiziano Vian, you know, it takes 3 cops to screw a light bulb on a car. 2 hold the car and 1 holds the light bulb. But dude. Otherwise, you keep denying everything. Shit, even if they bring back this one, you'll still be thinking, fuck you, bitch. To this day, I can't understand this country. I can't. I simply can't. You speak about a holy grail on the fucking coastlines, the losses in space tech and everything. It's already happened. That's old news on the news. You could see it coming from fucking China on the coastlines. Are you speaking to me about Fresno for the parents or retirements? Come on, fucker. And their job. You don't deserve to be called a countryman. Not after that show on the coastlines. No, I'm sorry. You don't need Disneyland. You don't need to rehash Disneyland for this shit. And I don't give a shit if you have a PhD. I don't give a shit if you're psycho. I don't give a fuck. 2-1 after the smashed head on the... Oh, I don't answer that one. In other words, you don't give a shit for your own shit in your own land. You don't care if something is lost. I can't change it, and most likely you can't, because Intel already left the ship to yard and all that stuff. I can't help if you were sitting there and watching this and didn't give a shit. I can't help if you were sitting on your fat house in California, so all those flyings and runnings and you didn't give a shit, and then later there was a smashing head on the coastlines and this one came out as Phoenix. I can't help you. That's old news on the news. If you want, you can go to coastlines, you can reopen the grays and blacks of those corporates, you can reopen even the cheap shit of pig. You can reopen that Intel buildings in Massachusetts, in NASA. You open your own motherfucking bombs. McVariant bomb, Shakespeare bomb, the biggest bomb on the fucking planet, sure, between the Russians and the others before. Show it. That shit's had its head smashed in on the coastlines. Shit, the buildings that are empty because of this space, they even had a fucking cancer. You're still denying it because you're fucking bitches. Poor ass. In your country. Science banks. You see that? Pita pata, pita pata, pita pata, pita pata. And for fuck's sake, stop giving me your racism, blacks, white, yellows. I'll tell you one thing. For certain Fresno is racist. It's a backward town. It's the armpit of California. Those people's there. And their intel, their fame around the world come back. We've known that since the beginning of stupid times. In the middle of that fucking desert, with nothing happening in Fresno. Just a bunch of fucked up retards. Yes! Because you have no fucking base of science. You have no fucking base of corporate motherfucking grays and blacks and pinks. None of it is in Fresno. And that was me. And I'm dead. I'm Disneyland. Thank you. To do one ass wipe. And I wasn't even killed with a gun or an injection or any of that shit. No. I wasn't taken away. To Poland to Russia. So no one sees. Hurt. I had to go through the rule of law at my old age and then to Russia. Everyone fucking trying to kill Poland. So make sure it's a clean record. I'll fucking kill your ass. I got her out of Fresno. With a fake fucking obituary for the mother. Tried that shit on the father, he got out immediately. Back to his house. Nursing homes, hospital. Your father has anemia. My father doesn't have anemia. I looked at the doctors. Very young I was when I came to Fresno. After my smashed-in head on the coastlines, the Scotland film on Radio Global. Crab to crabby after the smashed-in head. Some people even thought crab was the original. And they were sitting there looking at me. And I looked at the hospital guys. I looked at them and I said, you touch my father. This hospital and your nurses are going down like a fucked up brick of shit. All of you. The hospital, the nursing homes, the puppy digs, the whole shit. You get him out of this hospital. He doesn't have anemia. He doesn't have a weak heart. He's strong. You're not weak-handing my dad. I'll show your ass. The kingdom coming back from beyond. Forget about the coastlines and that shit that's void. Unless you can reopen that shit yourselves. Because the leader of that shit is dead. And there was a very big-ass ship that became a yacht to a boat. You want to play around with Disneyland, you go right ahead. But you'll be sued for that too. So you can have your tits and ass fun in Fresno. They looked at me, and guess what? He got out of the hospital after 2 days. He went to that same nursing home where the mom was. The same bitch-ass nurses. I went to them. I looked at the girls. And I said, all of them. The same one my mother was taken to. The same one. On, is that Barstow? Yeah, Barstow. Barstow and, is that Herndon? Herndon and First was the 6th. No, Barstow. And I'm looking at them. And I say, my father's getting out of here. At the beginning. And first I said, my father's getting out of here. Your shitholes, your puppy dicks. This was in 2001. Was it in 3 or 4? I don't remember. I don't know if this was before the Mariana Shistio Act. It doesn't really make a difference. And I looked at them, I said, with George on the East Coast. And I looked at them, I said, you touch my dad. Do you know who this man is? And do you know his work? My father and my mother literally saved the planet. We're the ones in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. And the flyings, they lived to 92 and above. On the runnings, 85 and above. And after that, I had my head smashed in on the ghost lines, and I came back as a ghost child, and I became this particular corn cob, these snails. I was the trained poodle in the house. They were born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. I was born in a capital city. It's just that simple. I'm not going to go into the science of that girl, the July 20th of the 221, the empty buildings, a fucking space tag. I'm not going to do that because I'm not that girl. There is science behind that girl, the blues. After you smashed the girl's head in on the coastlines, I told you there was a big-ass ship with that girl long ago on the coastlines. It became a yacht. Old news on the news. You created your own void on the coastlines. You lost intel. You said, oh, that's too much intel lost. Really? If you could see it fucking coming from China and you didn't give a shit to stop it. On your soil. Here. You're a joke. And Disneyland can tell you that. So when they called me the proverbial Roman, the girl who became Roman overnight with a smashed-in head on a coastline, they meant it in stupid times. So when they rehash a child after her head is smashed in on the coastlines as Disneyland and speak about pink and blues, you better start using your brains from China and not from fucking Fresno for the parents or the coastlines. The coastlines and the sciences are here. You should be attacking those guys who did that. And the corporations in Western Europe, even the American ones, the British ones, the German ones, the UN ones, the Roman ones, the Russian ones, and the Saudi ones, are not going to be sitting there saying, I'm sorry she died. What a boy, because we were shipped together. In other words, if you have too much in your head, you might have it smashed and come back as Disneyland. That's exactly what happened to me. But not because you didn't have it before. Because on the flyings, you had it on a coastline. You even had it on 85, 85, until finally I had my head smashed in at the end of 85, 85 on the coastlines after so many flies and so many runs. Anyway, what happened? So as much as midwole to say to you that we'd rather stay in Rome for retirements after the smashed-in head of the girl, we have to do it. Okay. And what you created in the US and Fresno, your lies and your scammings for the parents of retirements, to mention my amount of flyings and runnings, multitasking that many motherfucking times around the world for the parents, and the actual corporate losses and science losses on the coastlines, where the corporations and the sciences are, and not Fresno, is what you became famous for, US. You cannot deny that. You cannot lie in Fresno. Yes, you do. So when you bring those nurses, and you bring those, that amount of them, and you bring in your cheerleaders, and you bring in, from Fresno, born and raised in Fresno, literally, and they can be here. They could have come to San Francisco and stayed at the Dolores Shelter, for instance. These are called stalkers for Disney. You are more than terrorists. You're retarded terrorists. And I'm not the one saying it with the Dr. Parrots. When you lose intel, at least admit you fucking lost it. And you know what? I don't mind having sex with my enemies. Why? Because when you smashed that girl's head in on the coastline, she married George. George wasn't her husband. George was flying and running. He may be the regent of Massachusetts and New Hampshire for the Board of Education, but that girl long ago had her head smashed in on the coastlines. Flags and runnings. And what's this? Crowley's little Crowley smashed in the head on the coastline. You're getting used to the smashing head on the coastlines, aren't you? Because I'm not a human. As Tiziano would say, Jimmy, please, you're human. I'm looking at him as I'm not at the age of 5. I look at the shit. I look at La Sapienza, I say, sorry, but that's empty. Yep. You know, space tech, engineering, math, advanced physics, sciences, all science, no cancer. And a little division economy. I'm looking at it like, that's getting emptier. That's literature. We should stay in Rome for retirements by now. Scotland, Film, and Radio Global. And that's at the age of 5. I don't have to explain to you this shit over and over and over and over and over again. After that show on the coastlines and I smashed in head on the coastlines, Scotland Film and Radio Globe. Disneyland at the age of 5. I don't need to explain this to you in California. You can't be such assholes and bitches. You can't, but you are. Because you're not even thinking. The only thing that you think about is, look at me, I'm the best, 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 I have a PhD, I went to Harvard, I have a PhD, I have a fucking, look at me, I did this, I have a PhD, I have a PhD. You shut your fucking face, you retarded bitches. In other words, why did they bring back Disneyland after smashed and had on the coastlines? You're animals, and that's what they're calling you. The zoo, Carlo Verdone. Ogni giorno io scotto la te pare. Come ti ho te le? I don't have that kind of patience. I don't have that kind of discipline. I did too many flyings. I did too many runnings on the hills. Yep. And I can't do anymore. I can't. I'm not that girl. I don't have the pretenses to be that girl. That girl already had her head smashed in on the coastlines. I am a replacement Disneyland version of that girl. If there's blues, which I told you there was something behind that girl, then motherfuck, you have to go through some motherfucking higher intel and find out how the fuck they did that with a smashed in head on the coastlines with the limits to growth, the guy she was with, the corporations she was with around the world, from China, you could see it coming on the coastlines. And stop boasting to me about your PhDs. Please. It's sickness. And it's bitchiness. Because that girl was out of high school with the presidents by the age of 15 for free. She had the IB at 14 already. By 10, she was in college. She has 2 bachelor's with honors in 4 years. She has 2 masters, a master's and MPhil later on. She didn't complete the PhD because she had to come back to Fresno for biological enhancements of carbonation cementation, which has to do with my PhD. The PhD, which is genetics, which is basically bacterias, how to genetically engineer bacterias to enhance cementation. Okay, but carbon dioxide. In other words, instead of producing 1 unit of oxygen, you produce 4 million units of carbon dioxide in one cell, in those bacteria, which we call pond scum. Now, considering I'm not a biological geneticist, but that I was surrounded by geneticists since I was a child, I wonder why, after smashing it on the coastlines, because I am the most intelligent science and space tech in the US. Please don't tell me they made that. No, not her. That shit's empty. Even the cancer. Come on, cancer disease. They'll open cancer. That's pink. They didn't even open that. Shit, the corporations went for grays and blacks. And even the pigs. But the pigs is cat. Sorry, that's all news on the news. This is your snake on the coastlines with a smashed in head on the coastlines. That's the relic of what happened on your coastlines, which you're still denying for intelligence communities in your country, on your soil. And you're calling me terrorist? Sheikh bin Laden is better than the Mossad. I keep saying that. And you say, well, if you don't like the Mossad, you're a terrorist. I say, this country is so backward that, for Disneyland to breathe a speck of fresh air, even for a blimp in time, it's almost impossible. Just like that shit on the coastlines is impossible. There is no God needs a zoo. That shit don't reopen nothing anymore. It's dead. It's technically dead. It's taken. That's why we call it the Roman Bazaar. I'm sure you need more highly intelligent killers on this planet. You don't need the original beauty of that girl. Smashed in head on the coastlines did it. A beauty. And even brought me back. Not so many injections. Disneyland had to go through so many fucking injections when she was a child. Big like this. Like blue. I said, what are you doing now? Well, your left knee is weak and... Well, then you have to continue giving me those injections because if you just stop after 2 years, I'm just going to get extremely hairy. And then the left knee is going to get weaker. But that's the old news on the news, darlings. That's the girl who already had her head smashed in on the coastlines and came back in this format. Nice teeth, huh? Sweetest little smile on the planet. Well, why is the globals 81 countries? Shall I say 80 without the US, huh? I am now, after Fresno, I got out of Fresno at 40. I was immediately out there, outside, abroad. Then, we walk abroad. Then, get back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm 51. I spent about 4 years and a half in the Mediterranean, where I was born in Italy and Rome and Milan, Western Europe, most countries, Mediterranean. I came back a year and a half ago with enough paperwork by Dr. Parrots for your Dolores Shelter federal prisoners who are from San Quentin and are born in Fresno. The ones who are shitting on their pants because of Tom and Jerry Diet House. Buddies, friends, wingmen, and everything else. Go friends. Nursing homes and hospitals. Especially one, St. Agnes. Because that's the main one. That's the one we used. The other one is for shootouts. But there's others that come in. Other doctors, other nurses, even foreign ones. And they're there to help the parents. Like the physiotherapy lab clinic of the Hmong guy. There was a Jewish lady, a secretary. I said, what's she doing here? She wanted the address book of my mother and father so that she could find the connections in DC and in the UN of the parents as D1s. Imagine that. I looked at her and said, what you doing? I went to the Hmong guy. I said, what the fuck? He said, look, St. Agnes is across the road. She just walked in. I said, are you fucking nuts? Fresno, you're sick. You are sick! You're gonna have a fucking... You. With the hanging benches, a lot winters and not erect, that many motherfucking flyings and that many motherfucking runnings. And then you say to me, look at that shit on the coastlines, it's empty. You should give cancer and holes in the head with that shit on the coastlines and more and McVariant bombs on the ass of fucking Fresno. For the parents! Do you understand? You fucking retarded bitch whores in Fresno. And you know what? Let the rest of the world do it. Let the rest of the world show it with Havana. 696969. I don't even give a shit about the East Coast no more. Listen, we're sick of the fucking East Coast. What is this? Forrest Gump going back and forth on the Greyhound. You're Disneyland. Motherfucker, you already have your head smashed in on the Ghost Lights. You're Disneyland. Shut up. Okay? What is the Scott Clan film and Raja Globe about? Kitsune ass in Fresno? Or the Coast Lights? Or both? Your intelligence in Fresno. Of course you have intelligence. Fuck. Bacterial. Fucking bacterial. Blues. Have intelligence after smashing head on the coastlines. Goodbye, retards.